What's up, 216? Welcome back to another episode, our first in-person episode on the channel. Unfortunately, no Jacob with us today. He is with his father for Father's Day, so obviously that's more than enough excused. Today with me, we have a very special guest, my sister, singer-songwriter, Megan Marek. Thank you for coming into the studio.
I just left the real studio.
Yeah,
that you get to see today.
Yeah, so thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Thanks
like I
for
said,
having me.
first in-person episode, so this might be a little spotty, but it is what it is. You know how we roll on the What's Up 216 pod. So, yeah, let's go off the rip. Just go ahead and give yourself an introduction. Who are you? Who, as the listeners, what do you want them to know?
So the reason I'm here today, like Kevin said, I am a recording artist. I very recently just put out my first single, What Your Therapist Thinks, on Friday, actually, was our official
Yeah, go
release.
listen to that. It's going to be linked in the description.
My name is Megan Marek, but my artist name is Boyfriend Meg. So you can find me on all streaming platforms as Boyfriend Meg with What Your Therapist Thinks.
Yeah. That's crazy. And it's honestly, it is kind of funny. Everything comes full circle. I am going to bring it up. There was there was a song that you had made on the swing set. Do we bring that up on the podcast?
Well, we just did. So when I was 6, I wrote a song called Blue.
Hell yeah.
And to this day, if the word blue comes up in conversation or it is used as a descriptor, Kevin and my dad both start singing the song Blue. I will never escape from it.
No, you won't. Okay, so I have a couple of questions here. Let's just jump into this. So, who or what made you want to pull the trigger on making this album? Obviously, this is kind of not necessarily came out of the blue, but also kind of just like happened. There it is. So I guess what made you want to do it?
Well, I've been writing music for my entire life. I mean, we joke about Blue, but really that was when I did start writing music, and not all of it was good. Through middle school, I was writing a ton of music, more definitely on the romantic side, which as I've gotten older, I've found that writing actual love songs like that is a lot harder for me because they all just sound so corny. So I do choose to write things that are a little bit more sad, a little bit more angry. But I've been writing music for my entire life. So when I was younger, I actually did have a YouTube channel with 4 of my cousins. It was called The Fab Five. Unfortunately, it's no longer up. But we did have 3 covers.
Was definitely going to link it.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. But all of us, I've had a love for music my entire life. I've always wanted to put out my own and be recognized for my writing capabilities. So this is something that's been a long time coming. Definitely in middle school, I put a pause on things because I recognized, I'm a child and these are not good. And I also didn't know how to play any instruments. I didn't really have any means to record anything, or say I did record myself on an iPhone and cut a demo that way. I can't play any instruments, so it would have just been me singing a cappella, which is fine to an extent, but it's not the way that I wanted to represent myself or my music. I think it deserved more than that.
Right.
So cut to high school, I was still writing music. I kind of took a pause because I figured, we're not writing a magnum opus here. Like, they're not something to be bragging about. So I wasn't sharing with anybody. In high school, I did start sharing music with my best friend, who, to this day, she is the first person who hears every single lyric I come up with. But that's really where Mercury, my future album, started. I wrote the first song, What Happened That Summer, when I was 14 years old. And that's actually the song that you got to hear me working on today, which is just...
That was it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is beautiful. That's really
Mind-blowing
sweet. That's
that
pretty sweet.
Now, 12 years later,
Yeah.
I got to actually record it, and we get to hear what it sounds like and what
Yeah.
it sounded like in my head since I was 14. But anyway, so I have been writing music for the last 10 years, music that I'm actually genuinely proud of. And in December, I was at a birthday happy hour with a couple of friends, and something came up in conversation about someone on Spotify, like making fun of them being a SoundCloud rapper.
Okay. Yeah.
But then it was corrected and they said, no, this person's actually on Spotify. And I said, okay, well, that's kind of impressive. Like, I've always wanted to do that, but I don't have the means to. And a friend that I was with said, it's definitely not that hard to get on Spotify. And after he said that, I was like, maybe there's something to this. So I went home. I have a little song journal that I keep all the songs I'm proud of.
Right. Yeah.
So I went through that. I put a couple of songs that I wrote in the last year in that journal. And then I was realizing I was flipping pages for quite a while to get to a blank space to put them in. So then I went back and I put stickers on all the songs I would go to bat for and put them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized there were 13. So I texted one of my other friends. I said what I had just done and what I just figured out. And she was like, you need to just Google studios and figure this out. Like, that is their job, to help you put music on a song. So I Googled studios near me. I found one 12 minutes away, Breakthrough Recording Studios.
Plug.
Breakthrough Sound Recording Studios. I set up a tour for that Saturday, and January 6th I toured it, and from there I got to work.
When she told me that she was going to a studio, I bawled my eyes out.
He immediately cried, which made me even more excited about it, because that I've been wanting to do this forever. But yeah, that's the who and what. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I just needed someone to tell me, just do it.
To do it,
and
absolutely, yeah.
And now
sometimes all you need is a push.
Yeah, and honestly. 6 months later, now I'm on streaming.
Yeah.
Wild.
Pretty wild. Huh?
Am I allowed to swear?
Okay. Yes, you can swear on the show.
Okay.
Oh my god, you should hear some of the rants I do.
Alright, well, it's fucking wild that
Yeah.
I'm on streaming.
No, good shit. That's awesome.
Cannot wrap my mind around it. And I've cried so much in the last 3 days, because it's just, this is all I've ever dreamed about, and now I get to do it and
Hell
see
yeah.
it and share it.
Now that's funny you asked that, because we've been on a 20 episode streak that I've had to explicit. So yeah, you're good.
Okay.
We're on the streak.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so no, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, just going back to all the, like what she said, that it's been a long time coming for this, and now that it's finally out there and that it's actually public and people can actually listen to it, definitely go do that, because she's putting a lot of work into this. She's constantly in the studio, getting shit done in there, working her ass off, and it's all going to be worth it. It's some pretty cool shit that you're doing. So I guess perfect way to balance this next one. I guess what do you like most about like actually creating the music? Obviously, there's a lot behind it. The feeling of like instant gratification is just like, yes, I finally did it. But like, what is your favorite part about doing this?
Honestly, my favorite part is getting to hear it and letting other people hear it, because like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's not something new to me. Like, the writing process itself is something I'm very comfortable with. It's something that I use as an outlet. But aside from the 2 people in my life that I'll send Snapchat videos of me singing these things to, no one's heard it. And no one actually understands that when I say, oh, I like to do music. No, I write and I sing and I want to perform it, and this isn't just a hobby to me, it's a passion. And now I get to share that with other people, and I think there's something really special about people actually pursuing their passions and being able to share it with others.
Absolutely.
And that's the company I work for, I did tell everybody in January that I was doing this, and the support that I've received from them has been amazing.
That's
they
cool.
fully were excited for me before they even knew I could carry a tune. But on Friday, everyone actually got to hear it, and the amount of people who came up to me and told me, like, oh my, holy shit, Meg. Like,
that's really cool.
Really, really fucking good.
Yeah.
I think it's the gratification I'm getting from the positive feedback is huge. I know I'm good. not to
No,
brag.
in order to do what you're doing, you have to know that you're good, or else
But I
you
picked
can't
these
do it.
13 songs for a reason, and for people to hear them and also appreciate them the way that I have for the last 10 years, it means the world. Even if I never got to put them on Spotify, I still get the MP3s when we're done laying a track and when we're done putting the vocals on it.
Yeah.
So I've been able to share it with people for the last 6 months. It's just now it gets to be out in the open, and I get to put the art on it, and I get to put my lyrics on Spotify, and it feels really cool to be letting my baby go like that.
Well, that's awesome. So, like, obviously, you kind of dipped into it at the end there, but like, what kind of a process is this? Like, what? Obviously, you have to write their own lyrics, but like, no one watching or listening has been inside a fucking studio. So like, what is the process of that? How lengthy is this process?
So I think I'm doing it a little bit differently, where a lot of times people will go into a studio not necessarily having the lyrics fully fleshed out, but what happened that summer, I wrote when I was 14, and What Your Therapist Thinks, which is out right now.
Yeah.
I wrote that
Streaming on all
2021.
platforms.
Streaming on all platforms. I wrote it in 2021. So I'm coming to the studio with lyrics already.
Wait, really? I did not know you wrote that. So, like, recent is a broad term considering when you wrote the other ones.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
some of them I actually wrote in the last 6 months. Some of them I wrote in high school, but I'll explain why I put the ones that I put, but I'll answer this question first. So the process is different for everybody, but the way that we do it, I will play a recording of me just singing it to Sean, my producer, which he's producing all 13 tracks. But I will play it for him. And then we listen to it a couple times. We figure out, what instruments do I want? Do I want it to be more acoustic? Do I want it to have more guitar? Do I want it to have strings? Sometimes we'll use other artists to compare it to. So for California Dream Dude, I used What Your Therapist Thinks as a comparison. And then for What Your Therapist Thinks, I said I want it to be more alternative. I want it to be on the same Spotify channels as, say, Paramore or Fall Out Boy. Like, that was the vibe we were going for.
Yeah.
So then we kind of just use it as building blocks. And every single song we've gone about a little bit differently. This one, we started with the intro, and we just focused on those guitar riffs, and we found ones that we liked. And the amount of time we spent picking a guitar for the track.
Oh yeah.
It took almost the entire session.
Yeah, you got to find what sound you want.
And some of them we do in like 3 hours. We lay the whole track. Some of them it takes us the full 3 hours to even find the instruments we like. So every single song has been a little bit different, and I think that's what's so fun about this, is just getting to be part of that creative process. Because then I start thinking like, oh, how long did it take like Sabrina Carpenter to make her songs, or how long did it take Olivia Rodrigo? So some of them I do come a little bit more prepared. So for Dreamer, I actually had the strumming pattern for that. I was able to play him the notes, and then we built the song off of that. For What Happened That Summer, I had these strings in my head, so I hummed them, and then we built the song that way. So every single song is a little bit different. We always start with, we build the track first, and then we go in and we add the cool effects, and we add the instruments, and then we try and figure out like, okay, where's my voice going to do more of the work here? Because for the acoustic songs, my voice does take on almost an instrument, which that's just part of it though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really neat. I guess reshaping the next question, how quickly for your new single, What Your Therapist Thinks, how quickly did those lyrics come to your head? How fast were you able to put that out?
How fast I wrote the song, or how fast okay. I started writing, this is so funny. I started writing it in probably 2020, 2021. But I actually wrote it after a conversation with a friend who, through the best intentions, they were giving me a lot of their therapist's advice. And at the time I didn't want to hear it, so I was like, okay, yeah, tell me what your therapist thinks. And then I was like, you know what? I could actually write something like that. So then I was just playing with the lyrics, and then a past fling came back into my life, and I started writing get your tickets to my downward spiral. Like, this is not someone that I should be talking to. So
Yeah.
I was writing it, making fun of myself more than anything. And then I put it on ice because I do this with everything. It takes me a long time to actually write a song, which is why it took me 10 years to produce an album. But I started
Sounds
with the
like
hook.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. I started with the hook, and then I was able to go back and work the first verse after my relationship with that person ended, actually.
Yeah.
Then again, the ideas kind of went dry for a little bit. I let it sit for a good 6 months. And then actually, a fallout of a different relationship, I was able to tweak the second verse that I had kind of hated. And that happens a lot to me, is I'll be writing something and I'll love certain parts of it, and then I'll just kind of put filler lyrics in for a little bit. And then something happens where I'm able to go back and rework it, and it's something that I'm actually proud of.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a bridge written for a long time that now I've since scrapped, but I'm saving those lyrics for something else if it fits. So all in all, it probably took me a year to write the song.
Okay.
To get it to be what I actually wanted it to be. But I wrote the bridge last year. There was a bridge and I just fixed it and changed it. But yeah.
So in what order are you doing these songs? Because
No.
so there's no order in these at all?
No. So originally, when I started, I was going off of the ones that I was most excited to record.
Yeah.
So the first song I ever put in the studio is Lois Lane. That's not the first song on the album, and it's not the first single, but that was one that I was like, okay, assuming I never do this again, or it's too scary, it's too hard, I'm not good at it, at least I have Lois Lane. Because that's also one that I've actually shared with people before. I've put it on my Instagram before. And that's always one that I thought suited my voice really well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first one that we did. And then from there, I tried to go back and forth between the slower, sadder ones and the more upbeat, more exciting ones. Because I didn't want to get bored through the process, which is ridiculous thinking that now, because I never am bored when I'm in the studio. That is the most fun I've ever had. But that's basically what it is. And I'm also trying to split it up between, like, I don't want to do all the ones that I wrote when I was 15 in a row and then get to the older stuff, which I'm the only person that knows that, and I'm the only one who really can tell the difference in those songs. But I did want to keep it a healthy mix through the whole process.
No, that's cool. And I'm obviously, we're all happy you didn't stop doing it, because then we wouldn't have had this absolute banger that you have now. So that's interesting that there's not necessarily no order to it, but there is an order to it from a point of, I gotta get this one out because this one is special in a certain way. So that's really neat. A neat way to honestly look at it.
Yeah. I'm also saving the ones that I know from a production standpoint they're gonna be harder.
Yeah.
I save those for the last 4. So What Your Therapist Thinks took 3 sessions completely. What Happened That Summer has taken like 6.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yeah. So the ones that I'm gonna have to spend more time on, I did save to the end.
Smart.
We have 3 more.
Get the quick ones out of the way.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so I guess I'll ask the hard beating question here. What's your future in this? What do you think is gonna come out of it, or what do you want to come out of this?
It entirely depends on the success we see through streaming. I think it's silly to map out the future of this before I know how it's actually received by the public.
Yeah.
But first weekend of streaming, we're already at over 100 listeners on Spotify alone. I haven't seen the Apple results yet. So that, to me, I think it bodes well. Ideally, I would like to be a full-fledged recording artist. I would like to be touring. I would like to have albums coming out routinely. I would like to have a following of people who are enjoying my music enough to be waiting for the next release. I absolutely could see myself performing these songs one day. I know when I write them, I imagine what the crowd would sound like singing it back to me. Which, that also, it was always a dream to put out the music. I never actually thought that I could.
Right.
But now I am, and I'm like, okay, well, it's right there, and
right.
I want it.
Absolutely.
So ideally, I would love to perform it, even in a dive bar one day, which I'm going to, but I would love to go on a tour one day.
Now, a little like side part to this question as well. Do we maybe see a sophomore album? Are you working on a sophomore
I've
album?
already started, yeah.
That's what we like, breaking news on the What's Up 216 podcast here.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. Are these recent songs? Like, are you writing these ones?
Some of them are more recent. Some of them I did start after college.
Okay.
The way that I write is actually so sporadic, which I think would make it hard to write with other people because the ideas are never really cohesive. So I'll come up with a hook, or I'll come up with the intro to something, and then I'll let it sit for weeks, months, years, however long it takes me until I like circle back to it and think, oh wait, I could do this. I could connect it this way.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that was happening with the song Yours. I came up with the hook because I could hear the production in it, and then I was like, all right, well, I want this on the album, so I have to figure out how to make the rest of it work. So then I made it work. But it doesn't always happen like that. I have some hooks sitting in my notes app that I started in probably 2020 that haven't been touched since, and I haven't been able to make work with something since.
Yeah.
I'm getting, not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm getting better at writing and getting better at quickening the process for myself.
Yeah.
Especially now I'm motivated to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say I have like 4 or 5 songs pretty solidly started right now.
Oh my God.
And
Can't wait.
The way that I write too, they don't all actually have to do with situations that are happening in this moment.
Yeah, right.
I find a lot of inspiration from my own life. I find a lot of inspiration from watching other people's lives, and kind of like Taylor Swift with Folklore and Evermore. I do like to take those stories and make them my own. One that I'm working on right now with a friend, I asked if I could kind of borrow her story to write it, and she was all for it. I sent her the lyrics, I sent her the melody, and she was like, this is good, you need to finish this.
Nice.
So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but that's what I got.
No, yeah, it's exactly, yeah, you're working on a second album, so hell yeah. I guess, and to close this, you know, for someone that, I fucking doubt it, but for someone that is watching, that was in your shoes, that was not necessarily, you know, super confident about going into a situation like this, and then realizing that, oh fuck, I can do this. What kind of advice did you have to give to those people where it's like, I did it, you know?
The worst thing you can do is not try.
Yep.
Actually last year, I was just singing to myself in the car, singing one of my songs, and there were a couple notes that I just wasn't hitting, and it wasn't feeling even good the way it normally does. And I might have said out loud, this is stupid. Like, what are you doing? You're never gonna actually put this out. Why are you trying? Why are you writing? It doesn't matter. No one's waiting on this. This isn't your future. And now I have a song on Spotify. So I think the worst thing is to not try. I fully gave up, and I fully told myself this is not going to be even a figment of imagination for you at any point. Give up. And I didn't, and I took the leap, and I tried, and I ripped the Band-Aid off, and I was fully prepared for it to not work, and I was fully prepared for it to not be good, but I did it, and now we're here.
Right.
And I think too, music is such a broad spectrum that there's a niche for everybody. You don't even have to be a good singer to have a good song.
Nope.
You don't have to be a good lyricist to have a good song.
Nope.
So I think before you let your own voice in your head tell you that you're not good enough, you might think that, but someone in fucking Kansas or something could hear that on Spotify one day and be like, this is the best fucking song I've ever heard.
Yeah.
So my advice to anyone who's afraid to try would just be to rip the Band-Aid off. Google it. You know, like I found a studio just by Googling studios near me, and immediately my life changed.
Yeah, right.
So
Absolutely not. I mean, not to say I'm in the same boat, because podcasting is a little fucking different. But to a stamp, you know, it's sometimes if you have a passion for something and you care about it enough. I know no one listens to this shit. I have like maybe 10 people that listen to this.
Well, honestly, you were an inspiration for me too, because I just thought, you know, the fishing channel and vlogs and
I'm linking that
the
too.
Spotify, like you've done so much because you just don't give it a second thought. You just try it, and I mean, look at you, like it's working.
11 hot dogs, baby.
So yeah, you were a little bit of an inspiration to me because I figured the worst I can do is just fucking try. Like, Kev tries everything, and most of it works out really well. So
damn, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
Can I talk about the album name?
Yeah, go ahead. So yeah, go ahead and plug what you want to plug. Go for it.
So the album is called Mercury, and I'm an astrology girly. Once you start listening to my music, you'll realize pretty quickly that I am an astrology girly. I'm a Gemini, and Geminis are ruled by the planet Mercury. Just a little D-level astrology lesson. The planets that rule you also rule over different aspects of everyone's lives. So Mercury is the planet of intellect and communication. And the planets do these things called retrogrades, which I'm sure you've heard the term before. Mercury's in Gatorade.
Yeah.
What that means is that it looks like it is spinning in its orbit the opposite direction. It's not, but based on where we are on Earth, it looks that way. And when that happens, it does have an effect on us. Technology has changed, communication has changed, the way you're thinking has changed, X has come back into your life. So there's a lot of things that happen just that might seem like a coincidence, but they're really not. We know they're not. But anyway, I realized...
These are the women we tell you to stay away from.
I realized I was coming up with the best ideas, and I was finishing the songs and connecting the ideas during Mercury retrogrades. And that's not to say I can only write during a retrograde, because they happen 3 weeks, 3 times a year. Like, that would be ridiculous to say I can only write music.
Yeah.
Between the 1st of April and the 21st of April. But that's when, and they're not always that time frame, but yeah. You get my point.
Yeah.
That's when I realized that it was coming to me a little bit easier, or I would be driving and I'd be coming up with melodies, and then I'd realize, like, oh fuck, it's a retrograde. Like, of course it is. Fucking course it is. So I realized all the songs that I had put stickers on in my notebook were written that way. So I was like, okay, fuck, the album's called Mercury, because it was created by Mercury. And that's also why it spans over 10 years, because it did take me a long time to write all of these, because I'm not on a deadline. No one's waiting for them. So I was able to take my time with all of them. And they span across my whole life. And I think it's really special to have such a collection of songs that have nothing to do with each other, but actually have everything to do with each other. Mm-hmm. And the album itself is pretty sporadic. There's really 2 songs that sound the same on it, and it's the sister songs that I wrote at the exact same time, and then the songs that I'm using as reference points for each other. So that's a little bit of the how and the why on the actual
that's cool.
Creation itself.
Would you ever be interested in, like, maybe, like, obviously you write your own music, but would you ever be interested in, like, the actual, like, producing side?
No. I look at the screens that Sean is looking at, and I feel so lost. I could never do that.
Yeah.
It'd be really fun to be able to do it yourself, but I'm gonna leave that to the experts. I know I'm a lyricist, and I know I'm a singer. I am not a producer.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, no, that's why it took me so long.
Yeah.
I have tried, actually. So back during COVID, I wrote this song called California Dream Dude, and I actually wrote
that was the one you just sent me.
Yeah, that's the one I just sent you, but I also wrote Air It Out, which will be the 3rd single during COVID, and that was actually, they were the first 2 songs that I wrote after a really long dry spell of just not having any creativity at all and writing nothing. I was getting pretty down on myself about it too, because I was like, I love this and I can't do it anymore. So that was the start of me getting back into it. But anyway, when I wrote Air It Out and California Dream Dude, at the time I was loosely seeing a DJ, and he would send me videos of, like, his process, and I figured, like, if this fucking loser can do it, so can I. So I tried. I downloaded, I think it was just GarageBand or something. I was using whatever songs on your MacBook. I was working with that, and then I actually met someone through a previous job, and he told me to download BeatStar. You can just get royalty-free music, and you don't even have to mix your own beats. You can write to it. That's how I found out I cannot write to track. That's really hard for me. I can't do it. probably can now, but at the time I couldn't.
Yeah.
The way that I write, I hear the music in my head and then I write to it that way. So taking someone else's project that's already fully finished and not being able to tweak it in any way, that was a big barrier for me that I just couldn't mentally overcome. I did play a ton on GarageBand or Movie or whatever it was. I had all my little filters. I bought a microphone. I was ready to do it, but I couldn't figure it out.
Right.
I gave it the good college try, but I just couldn't do it.
No, that's GarageBand is one of the most fucking confusing things I've ever had to deal with. So I'm with you on that for sure. So this Air It Out that you kind of just like dropped on me, when is that dropping?
That'll be after the album comes out, I think.
Okay. Do we have a date for the album?
We don't. I know the second single will be coming at some point in July. The album, my goal is August, but production takes quite a while. And for a long time, I told myself I could only go to the studio on weekends because that was just when I had time to do it. I'd be too tired after my day job. That's not true. Now going to the studio is like fucking therapy for me. If I have a bad day at work, you bet your ass I'm in the studio at 5:30 and it feels so good to just spend 3 hours there. But January, February, March, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
So it was taking me...
A little setback almost.
Yeah, it was taking me like 3 weeks to put out one song. And then I very quickly realized, okay, well, my June release date for the album isn't happening. So then I had to rework some things. I figured that based on the track I was going, I could get it all done by August. And now it's kind of going quicker, but we are to the harder songs. So there's a chance it could be done by August. There's a chance it could be done by September. Whatever happens, I want it to be a summer album because there are a lot of allusions to summer throughout it. I do have cover art. I have the track list all figured out. I have single art for Air It Out. I don't have single art for I Don't Care yet, but we're gonna work on that. But
the important.
Yeah. Yeah. My goal is August. I don't have an official release date. I'm hoping it's before the 16th because one of my promo ideas is so I'm a Swiftie. Don't know if that's been made apparent through this conversation. Swifties make friendship bracelets for the Eras Tour. I am going to give out 510 friendship bracelets that say Mercury on them with my album colors as the beads, purple, green, and orange. And we're going to put a QR code of, I wanted the album to be the QR code, but now it just might be the singles. So I can give out 510 friendship bracelets to 510 international Swifties and promo myself that way.
That's cool.
So if the album doesn't come out before August 16th, we'll use the single, but if it comes out after August 16th, then whatever.
Yeah.
But that's my goal.
Oh, that's cool.
An August, early August release.
Awesome. Well, go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug. I mean, what do you want? What do you want people to follow? How do you want people to know you?
So I am on Instagram as Megarek98, and I post a lot of promo there. My best friend has created some really cool promo posters for me, so I would love it if people saw them. I'm on Spotify as Boyfriend Meg, on Apple Music as Boyfriend Meg, and I think Pandora.
We can't even get on Pandora.
Yeah.
We
I'm also on Amazon Music. I don't have access to that because I'm not making an Amazon Music account. But Apple, Spotify, iTunes, you can find me as Boyfriend Meg there, or Megarek98 on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. Sorry.
No, she's not on Twitter. Don't blame her for that. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. Guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Obviously, you know, we're going to be doing in-person episodes way more frequently now that Jake's off of school. I'm going to still have to figure out this mic issue because it's picking her up, but it's not picking her up how I want it. So I apologize for the audio issues.
Oh, I don't sound good?
It'll sound fine. But nonetheless, thank you guys for taking your time to, I know this is way different than what we usually do.
I mean, I'm still 216 worthy. I am a Cleveland artist, so
she is. This is 216 worthy.
Support your local artists.
Absolutely, support your local artists. Go ahead and follow her. All the socials that are going to be down below. Go ahead and stream off of all 3 platforms. Even if you don't use all 3 of them, go ahead and stream off of there.
I'll take a stream wherever they come from.
Absolutely.
Stream to stream. Even if you hate it.
I mean,
just play it like 10 times.
Absolutely. Obviously, you know our schedules. upload on Mondays. Jake will be back next week. And I'll just sign off with saying, go Guards. Hopefully Browns get some shit going. And go ahead and listen to what your therapist thinks on Spotify, Apple, Pandora.
And then tell me what you think.
Hey, nice callback. But as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been What's Up 216. I'm your host, Megan Marek. We will see you next week. This is usually where I'd say, Jake, anything else to add? But in this case, I'll say, Megan, do you have anything else to add?
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for watching. We will see you next week. Peace out.